What I enjoyed most was the little dig against homeopathy, aka useless candy pills. The overall movie, what did I expect? Servus Freunde, my name is Jimmy Cage. I've reviewed more than 350 Indian movies until now, and today I want to talk about the Malayalam language box office hit Bheeshma Parvam. It came out in theaters in March and is now available on Hotstar in India. It was directed and co-written by Amal Neerad, whose 2014 Iyo Binte Pushtakam was one of our very first exposures to Malayalam cinema. Bheeshma Parvam, which can be translated as Book or Chapter of Bheeshma, is a mass gangster drama starring the one and only Mammootty. On the surface level, it shares strong similarities with the American classic The Godfather, which celebrates its 50th anniversary this year, and apparently it also draws inspiration from the Indian epic Mahabharata. With the latter, I'm unfortunately not really familiar with the first one I am though, and from the introduction to our lead character and this world, to the family dynamic, power shifts and overall story progressions, it is very clear that The Godfather functioned as a blueprint. Fortunately, and maybe also unfortunately, Bheeshma Parvam doesn't want to be The Godfather though, and the tone and even genre is quite different. Where Coppola's film took the B-movie genre of the gangster film and treated it very seriously, Amal Neerad's version plays very much in that mass sandbox and feels way more like a guilty pleasure than an actual great or profound film. It's not really that interested in exploring deep themes or telling a super fresh and complex story. In the end, the story almost feels like an excuse or a long build-up for the movie's last half hour of mass moments in which our hero Michael, or actually more just Mammootty, confronts the people who want to see him dead. I can imagine that this film played very well to a huge crowd in a movie theater, and unfortunately I didn't have that opportunity. But I actually did watch this movie together with Nona Prince, and we recorded a full-fledged movie reaction that will be available on his YouTube channel in a few days. That was really a lot of fun, and if you want to see us celebrate those several epic mass moments that the film certainly features, you should check that out when it's coming out. Overall, I liked the movie fine, but I was definitely expecting more. But let's start with the things that I enjoyed. The cinematography by Anand C. Chandran does give the film a beautiful look, and the music by Sushin Shyam, while laid on a bit too heavily, is still pretty good. Mammootty's Michael has this kick-ass theme music, there are two romantic song montages that aren't really necessary at all, but still alright, and there's also the strong Ennio Morricone spaghetti western touch to some of the music. And once again, there's also a small musical tribute to the Godfather theme by Nino Rota. Combined with the period setting of the 1980s, the movie has kind of a welcoming atmosphere and invites us to have chill gangster fun for 2.5 hours. There's certainly nostalgia at work, especially for a Malayalam audience, and there are also some historical events and figures woven into the narrative that add a little bit of texture to it, even if ever so slightly. There are also some pop culture references through the clothes of some characters, and even a fun little moment where someone is watching James Cameron's The Terminator. Funny though how they jump from the opening credits of that film to a scene like 1 hour into it. Anyway, Bheeshma Parvam is certainly nicely produced, and I would certainly call this one style over substance, because the substance is pretty thin. It's a film that seems to be complex on the surface, because there are really a lot of characters, and it certainly took me a while to know my way around all these people and how they are related. But the story and the characters are very archetypical, and the conflicts and motivations are really simplistic and most of the time super out in the open. It's quite comical how Mammootty's Michael so obviously gets the antagonists of the film riled up against him. He's playing the head of this big family, but he doesn't even seem to be that interested in keeping everything together, in working out solutions that might work for all of them, or even just for his own sake. He again and again just openly says to other family members that they are out and should mind their own business, which of course poses them against him in the end. That's what I mean, it's very simplistic and it also makes for a fairly predictable movie with barely any tension. The majority of it feels like this never-ending exposition or setup to the finale, which is okay because it's also not boring. You have this pretty great ensemble featuring so many beloved and familiar faces of Malayalam cinema, and while the characters are pretty one-note, they still are pretty colorful and fun to watch. Sheen Tom Chacko is certainly a standout as Peter, who felt a little bit like the Santino character. He's this hothead, this wildcard, and I like the idea that he's a closeted gay character, which also brings us this pretty hilarious song and dance sequence at the movie set. Unfortunately, the movie isn't really exploring it much further, and that's something I often find the case with movies like this. With almost every aspect that I love or like, there's something that's frustrating about it as well. The characters are colorful, but they're also underdeveloped, and pretty much none of them has enough weight to really make an emotional impact. Shubin Shahir is one of my favorite Indian actors, and he's nice in the film. His character turns out to be one of the most important ones, and yet I think it's all pretty much paper thin. The movie also wants to make kind of a big deal of Michael's right-hand Shivan Kuti later on, but there are barely any scenes to make us feel a real human connection between the two of them. Mammootty, now in his 70s, still has the gravitas and charisma to command the scenes, and he's still such a force of nature, but the movie also isn't really interested in giving him any kind of character arc. And while I enjoy the fun of those mass scenes, I can't help but also find them quite silly. And there's a difference between, for example, a recent film like RRR that's stuffed with larger-than-life moments and emotions from beginning to end, and something like Bheeshma Parvam that camouflages as this epic gangster drama with just a few mass moments sprinkled in, mostly at the very end. And while those moments are fun, they are also not really creative enough to break new ground or anything. They are fine, but that's about it. I also wasn't a big fan of the character of Rajon, played by Sudev Nair, and how he was just dropped into the film halfway through. The movie more than once felt kind of stuck between wanting to be somewhat grounded and being very comical and over the top, I think. But I have to say that the late great Nedu Mudivedu was pretty hilarious as this bitter old man, and his scenes together with KPAC Lalita, who unfortunately also passed away, are all pretty great. So overall I thought Bheeshma Parvam was a fine one-time watch. I think it reminded me a little bit of the Mohanlal mass entertainer Lucifer. Both movies somehow pretend to be these big complex crime dramas when they're actually quite silly. I think I personally just gravitate more towards films that commit to either side. So in German I'd say, Bheeshma Parvam ist ein wenig die Malayalam-Mass-Version von der PATE. Simpler, alberner, aber immerhin auch schön farbenfroh präsentiert und definitiv unterhaltsam. I give Bheeshma Parvam 6 out of 10. It's more like 6.2, but I don't do that.
Ciao.
Alright, that's it like always. Comment below and let me know what you think about Bheeshma Parvam. You can hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd and also on Patreon, simply at the Jimmy Cage. And if you enjoyed this episode, please give me a thumbs up, share, subscribe, whatever you like. And make sure you hit that bell for all I have to tell.